I'm Veronica Dudo. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, Vice President J.D. Vance meets with the Israeli Prime Minister today in Jerusalem. The tough questions they have to answer. The Pentagon is clamping down on who can and cannot speak to U.S. lawmakers. We're on Capitol Hill. One of the oldest and most vibrant dioceses in the U.S. is getting a new leader, and today we speak with Bishop Checchio about what lies ahead in New Orleans. Plus, an eternal mystery, which truth of the faith Pope Leo says one can never finish contemplating. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you for being with us on the feast of Pope St. John Paul II. Our top story tonight, Vice President J.D. Vance sits down with Israeli leaders as he continues his visit to the Middle East, trying to make sure the current ceasefire in Gaza holds. Vance told reporters we have a very, very tough task ahead of us. Among the challenges, disarm Hamas, rebuild Gaza, and ensure that Hamas is no longer a threat to Israel. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports. Owen.
Veronica, good evening to you. Vice President J.D. Vance also told reporters they're creating a peace plan and an infrastructure where just days ago, nothing like that even existed. Amidst all that, the Trump administration is also trying to bring the war in Ukraine to a conclusion where the attacks continue.
Vice President J.D. Vance and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu discussing the latest efforts to bring a permanent peace to Gaza. Both leaders expressing their strong partnership.
As the Prime Minister said, these are days of destiny, and we're very excited to sit down and work together on the Gaza peace plan.
In the last year, we've had an unmatched alliance and partnership with the United States. That is changing the Middle East, and it's also changing the world.
Vice President Vance made it clear it won't be simple, adding it's going to take monitoring and a lot of work.
A lot of our Israeli friends working together with a lot of Americans to actually mediate this entire ceasefire process, to get some of the critical infrastructure off the ground, from the international security force to some of the reconstruction in Gaza. It's not easy.
And Vice President Vance maintains if Israel and Gulf Arab allies can play a positive leadership role in the region, step up, take control, then that could lead to a better future for both the Mideast and the U.S.
But we actually see this as an opportunity to build on the Abraham Accords. I think this Gaza deal is a critical piece of unlocking the Abraham Accords.
Vice President Vance also meeting with Israel's president, who thanked President Trump for his steadfast insistence on moving forward.
We must offer hope for the region, for Israel, for the Palestinians, our neighbors, and for the future of our children.
Meanwhile, a major Russian drone and missile attack on Ukraine. At least 8 cities targeted in waves, several dead or wounded. A kindergarten in Ukraine's second largest city was hit by drones, kids evacuated by emergency personnel. The head of NATO says President Donald Trump knows how important it is to stop the war in Ukraine.
His leadership here is crucial. He is clearly providing it. And he has to dialogue with all the leaders. He has to dialogue with Putin, he has to dialogue with Zelensky, exactly as he did in Gaza, putting pressure on all relevant parties to get the deal done.
The Secretary General met with U.S. senators who support a bill to designate Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism for abducting Ukrainian children.
In addition, we're learning tonight the Trump administration will increase sanctions on Russia, described as a substantial pickup. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
President Donald Trump believes the federal government owes him a lot of money because he was damaged by years of Justice Department investigations. Trump also acknowledged that as the current president, he would have to approve any payout decision.
We'll see what happens. I mean, we have numerous cases having to do with the fraud of the election, the 2020 election, and because of everything that we found out, I guess they owe me a lot of money.
The comments were in response to questions reporters specifically asked President Trump. He answered them on Tuesday, saying that he was not looking for money, but that they would have to ask the lawyers about that. He added that he would give the money to charity if he wins his cases. Meanwhile, President Biden's former State Department spokesman weighed in, claiming that this would be the most corrupt act in presidential history. No complicated schemes, no outside actors, just a straight-up looting of the taxpayers to put $230 million in Trump's pocket. The acting Immigration and Custom enforcement director says New York will see an increase in ICE arrests because there are, quote, so many illegal immigrants. The comments follow a raid in Lower Manhattan yesterday. Federal agents detained several individuals near Canal Street. Crowds of New Yorkers protested the action while state and local leaders were quick to condemn it. Andrew Arthur, a resident fellow at the Center for Immigration Studies, joins me now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Veronica.
So first, when looking at balancing enforcement and civil rights, ICE released a statement that this was a targeted, intelligence-driven enforcement operation focused on counterfeit goods. What limits or safeguards exist under the law to prevent U.S. citizens or lawful residents from being wrongly detained?
That's a great question. It's one that I get all the time. When individuals are simply questioned when ICE walks up to them on the street, if they can walk away, that's not actually a detentive questioning. It's simply a conversation. If ICE, stop somebody for a moment and they're not free to leave, then they have to have what's called reasonable suspicion that that person is illegally present in the United States. And of course, to take them into custody, they have to have probable cause. With respect to the arrest that took place, on Canal Street yesterday near Tribeca in Chinatown, these were individuals that ICE officers were specifically looking for. This was a targeted operation. The officers had warrants for those individuals. They actually had pictures of them when they were going out to pick them up. So, that is part and parcel of due process. It's something that's permitted under the Immigration Nationality Act. It's constitutionally valid.
Now, advocates have claimed that between 15 and 40 people were apprehended by ICE, with some alleging that 2 of those detained were U.S. citizens. From a legal standpoint, what due process rights are guaranteed to individuals taken into custody under Section 235 proceedings?
So, with respect to individuals who were, simply stopped, they're not taken into custody. And as soon as those individuals identified themselves as United States citizens, I trust that they were free to go. But even if they refused to answer, they were taken into custody, a quick evaluation would determine that they were United States citizens and they would be released, which is why, I tell my sons and I tell every young person I speak to, when a cop asks you questions, simply answer the cop. There's a time and a place for everything. But nobody could be deported from this country without a deportation order. That's the full panoply of due process rights, including a neutral arbiter, a judge to hear your case, a right to appeal, and the right to appeal to a circuit court. So there's a lot of due process built into this system.
This operation reportedly involved multiple federal agencies. How do officials coordinate responsibilities under immigration law, especially during large-scale operations?
So, we think of ICE being an immigration agency, but they're actually immigration and customs enforcement. And these individuals were purportedly selling counterfeit goods on Canal Street. And anybody who's been to New York is probably familiar with that. This is sort of a mix between the agency's 2 duties, one, customs to get counterfeit goods out of the U.S. economy, and the other, immigration. But some of these individuals had other criminal charges. And for that reason, it wouldn't surprise me that DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, and ATF were also involved in this. And they coordinate, they create task forces, and that's how they coordinate on how they're going to perform these activities.
Andrew Arthur, thank you so much.
Thank you, Veronica.
Demolition work on the East Wing of the White House has begun as part of President Trump's plan to build a new ballroom. The project is set to cost more than $250 million, paid for by private donations. The new ballroom will be 90,000 square feet, able to hold just under 1,000 people, much larger than the current East Room, which only holds 200. The White House says it will be finished before President Trump leaves office. The Defense Department continues to clamp down on what information becomes public. A new memo now bars nearly all Defense Department personnel, including military commanders as high as the Joint Chiefs Chairman, from sharing information with lawmakers in Congress without prior approval. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales has reaction from Congress. Eric.
Hey, good evening, Veronica. The move comes just weeks after dozens of Pentagon reporters and news organizations turned in their badges, refusing to sign a pledge to only report DoD-approved information. Officials claim the new memo will help coordinate department messaging through a centralized office and prevent classified leaks. But lawmakers tell me it's meant to crack down on information sharing between the DoD and Congress.
by him controlling the information instead of us having the opportunity for us to actually do our due diligence, ask the right questions, he's only making the DoD weaker. It shows that he's weak. At the end of the day, it's really against what we said in the Constitution of the United States.
The memo from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says in part, quote, unauthorized engagements with Congress by Defense Department personnel acting in their official capacity, no matter how well intentioned, may undermine department-wide priorities critical to achieving our legislative objectives.
I'm sorry, but every administration wants to prevent leaks, and they should. But to use that as a justification for not even explaining their actions, I mean, we learn by leak, only by leak, what is happening in this administration, and that's not consistent with the democracy.
What does this do for you as a member of Congress trying to oversee?
They're making oversight very difficult, but that's not going to be received well by the Republican members either.
And it's not just Democrats speaking out. Republicans tell me they have their own cards to play.
We have Senate-confirmed nominees that I dare say would be reluctant to confirm if our access to accurate information from the Department of Defense was inhibited in any way.
They've got to get their leadership team and their trust in place, and this can't just all of a sudden go through a funnel of a handful of people. The DoD, there are too many requirements on it to actually run the organization that way.
Pentagon spokesperson Sean Purnell called the new communication guidelines a pragmatic step and adds these new guidelines will not change how Congress receives information. However, the memo strictly states that information will come from the department's Legislative Affairs Office. At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
We have a lot more still to come on EWTN News Nightly. Scars of War. We bring you to a Ukrainian town where hundreds were massacred during the Russian occupation and speak with a priest who witnessed the horror firsthand. And a new chapter, Archbishop designate Checchio joins us to discuss his calling to serve New Orleans. The Diocese of New Orleans has a new bishop on the way. Bishop James Checchio's new appointment marks the next chapter in a distinguished vocation of service, one that began in Camden, New Jersey, and has taken him from parish ministry to the Pontifical North American College in Rome to his leadership in the Diocese of Metuchen. Known for his dedication to the safety of children, his strong pastoral outreach, and his national leadership roles with the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, he is now preparing to bring that same energy and devotion to one of the oldest and most vibrant Catholic communities in the United States, the Archdiocese of New Orleans. Archbishop designate Checchio, the new Coadjutor Archbishop of New Orleans, joins us now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Veronica. Thanks for having me.
Your Excellency, congratulations on your appointment. Can you share your first thoughts and emotions when you received the call from Rome informing you that the Holy Father had chosen you as Coadjutor Archbishop of New Orleans?
Thank you. Yeah, it was quite a shock. I was surprised. It hadn't ever entered my mind that I'd be a Southerner, and I think receiving the news that I was moving to New Orleans was shocking, really, at first. And then, of course, I had my visit down there for the announcement, the day of the announcement, and the people were so welcoming and generous, and were so kind that it really eased all my fears, And we went around and visited some schools. We visited a Catholic Charity Center for seniors, visited different things in the Archdiocese. Everywhere we went, it couldn't be nicer. So it was a beautiful welcome for me.
The Archdiocese of New Orleans has a rich Catholic tradition and diverse cultural identity. As you prepare to make it your new home, how do you see the Church's role in uniting faith and culture, especially in a region shaped by history, music, and resilience?
So I'm going to the second oldest diocese in the country. So that's going to be a big switch. And I think the cathedral, they tell me, is the oldest functional cathedral in the country. So there's a rich, long heritage, proud heritage of the faith there, which is going to be exciting. The faith's very much alive there, and I think it is in many places in the South. A lot of converts last year. The seminary's full. It's the largest diocesan seminary in the country. The theologiate, I don't know about the college, but I think there's 100 college seminarians there too, which is a great interest for me, having worked in seminary formation. So I'm really looking forward to diving in, getting involved and immersing myself in the local church there, learning about it, and helping to help people with their friendship with Christ, to deepen it.
Reflecting on your home, you've led the Diocese of Metuchen for 9 years, focusing on pastoral outreach and the protection of children. Looking back, what are you most proud of from your time there, and how do you plan to carry those priorities into your new mission?
So it's going to be very sad to leave here. You know, I've grown in my love for the people of Metuchen every year more deeply, and it's going to be very hard to leave. But I go knowing that God is good, and I'll work the same way in New Orleans that I did here, striving to love and serve the people and to minister with them. So I'm proud here that our seminarians are wonderful, our priests are hardworking. I'm grateful for our good people and the religious. I just had to slowly go into different groups for my going away massive Thanksgivings, and I had the religious one the other day, and it was so moving, you know, being with them. But I certainly look forward, especially to the work that I'll have with the seminary down in New Orleans, helping to form future priests.
Well, Archbishop-designate Checchio, thank you so much for your time and all the best.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. The Bucha massacre of 2022 is the place where hundreds of people were executed when Russian forces occupied the city. While much of the city has now been rebuilt, the scars remain. EWTN Vatican correspondent Valentina Di Donato was there and spoke with the priest that witnessed it all.
This is the sound of war. But war can only persist in silence and indifference. We are in Ukraine at the site of the Bucha massacre, and Father Andriy Halavin, the parish priest of the St. Andrew's Church, witnessed it all.
We were occupied in exhuming the bodies in a tomb, and for 2 to 5 months we were busy recognizing these bodies and give them a proper burial. The bodies were all exhumed here on this site. Almost all have now been recognized, but it was a very long process because DNA tests had to be done. We were helped by France, who sent forensic criminologists because, as you saw in the photos, many of the bodies were burned or left to rot in the streets for weeks, and so often it was impossible to recognize the faces.
Father Andriy tended to his congregation throughout the darkest times. He was there when the tanks rolled into Bucha and witnessed the brutality in his own churchyard, where the Russian soldiers put all of the murdered people of Bucha. Now that site has been transformed into a gravesite. You may think that bearing witness to humanity's worst would weaken Father Halavin's faith.
Where is God in the midst of all of this? God is here despite it all. But it's not God that shoots or kills. Humans do that. We must always remember that we choose what to do. God gives us the freedom to choose. In this war, on one side, I was disillusioned with a certain group of human beings, the Russians. But on the other side, my faith became strengthened by seeing how other human beings came to help us, to give support.
But what should the role of the Church and the upholders of truth be in moments of grave injustice? In a recent address to members of the press, Pope Leo XIV spoke about the importance of informing people that can help them arrive to the truth.
Every day, there are reporters who put their lives at risk to inform people about what is really happening. In times such as ours, marked by widespread and violent conflicts, many have died while carrying out their duties. They are victims of war and of the ideology of war, which seeks to prevent journalists from being there at all. We must not forget them. If today we know what is happening in Gaza, Ukraine, and every other land bloodied by bombs, we largely owe it to them.
Father Andriy Halavin shares what he believes is needed from the Church, especially now.
I'm just a simple priest. I am no one to give advice to the Pope or to other ecclesiastical authorities on the argument. But if you ask my opinion, the most just way the Church can respond is by calling things with their proper name, by calling sin, sin, evil by evil's name. As the Bible says, and as Jesus said, woe to you if everyone speaks only well of you.
In Bucha, Ukraine, Valentina Di Donato for EWTN News Nightly.
Отця і Сина і Святого Духа, нині повсякчас і на віки віків. Амінь.
Up next on EWTN News Nightly, Catholic Classics. Father Mike Schmidz joins us to share a new podcast he's working on. And don't worry, this one only takes 30 days. Plus, Pope Leo says he has the cure for sadness after the break. Tonight on EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, Catholic author Lee Sneed, co-host of the Conversations with Consequences podcast, tells us about her new book detailing her journey through infertility and hope.
I mean, to put it really simply, just that things, life is hard and there's beauty in that things don't work out the way you plan. It's not up to you. And that through suffering, you're just brought into such close proximity to the heart of Jesus and to his mother. You think about all that she took on with her fiat, and this is your fiat.
That's EWTN Pro-Life Weekly with host Abigail Galvin tonight at 6:30 p.m. right after News Nightly. Pope Leo reminds the faithful that the resurrection of Christ is the remedy to sadness, which can rob life of meaning and vigor by instilling hope that fills the void.
Ma mite, nascosto, si direbbe umile.
At the Wednesday talk in St. Peter's Square, Pope Leo said the resurrection is not just a past event, but a transforming reality. He said it radically changes our perspective and offers hope strong enough to dispel the kinds of deep sadness that rob life of meaning. The Pope reflected on the story of the disciples on the road to Emmaus and an expression of how despair can seize the heart. He explained how Jesus' presence and the breaking of the bread reopened the eyes of the heart, rekindling joy and hope that can disperse sadness. If you are familiar with the Bible in a Year, you will know of Father Mike Schmidz, the voice behind the podcast put on by Ascension Press. Father Mike has another project in the works, and this one is only 30 days. Today, Ascension Press launches Season 4 of its Catholic Classics featuring The Imitation of Christ by Thomas A. Kempis. Father Mike Schmidz makes his debut as one of the hosts of the podcast, where he will read the popular devotional in 30 days. And he joins us now. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's an honor to be able to talk with you right now.
Now, Father Mike, The Imitation of Christ has been called the most influential Christian devotional work after the Bible. As viewers listen along with you in this devotional, what is it about the writings that continue to speak so powerfully to Catholics and even modern audiences outside the church hundreds of years later?
That's a fantastic question. I think it goes back to the reason why Thomas A. Kempis wrote this classic. He was a formator of Augustinian novices, like these brothers who were just, starting out on their lives as brothers, as monks, etc. And I think a lot of us don't have that. Like what I mean by that is a lot of us don't have formation or guidance. A lot of us don't really have mentors in the faith to be able to say, here's what's important. Here's how you pray. Here's how you deal with difficulty. Thomas A. Kempis, this book is an introduction for novices, but it is also as a reminder for those who are experts as well. And so I think a lot of us, we find ourselves somewhere on that spectrum where it's like, gosh, I don't know who to look to. Who is there in my life who can teach me how to follow after Jesus? I think this book is, it's the excellent. It's not one of the excellent. It is the excellent introduction to a life of discipleship, but it is also an excellent reminder of what it is to follow Jesus with your whole life. So, I mean, does that make sense? That's just that reality of a lot of us don't have mentors. Thomas A. Kempis in this book, Imitation of Christ, get to have a mentor.
Absolutely, and especially as things are so busy these days. Now, this is Season 4 of the Catholic Classic series. What are other spiritual readings that will be featured, and why should viewers tune in now?
Yeah, I think one of the first ones, and actually, to be honest, it's the only one I remember, is the Introduction to Devout Life by Francis de Sales, which is another example of, here is St. Francis de Sales, who is introducing people to the truth that they can become saints in their daily lives. They don't have to leave their life to become a saint. They just have to let Jesus be the center of their life and build their lives around him. That's the only one I can remember, actually, other than The Imitation of Christ. And it's great because I love audiobooks. And these Catholic classics are audiobooks with commentary. So it's the ability to have, like, here is a great work that has been influential and important for the lives of Catholics for hundreds of years. You also have it in your ears, which is much easier. And also you have a commentary, which is, okay, what did we just hear? How can you help? How can you apply it to your life? And how can we help digest this message? And so it's kind of what we did for the Bible in a year and the Catechism in a year. It's just much, much shorter.
Father Mike Schmidz, so nice to speak with you, and thank you for telling us more about this new podcast.
Absolutely. God bless.
Thank you. Today is October 22nd, and it's a day we celebrate one of the Church's most recent and inspiring saints. Pope St. John Paul II, called the Great, was revered not just in the Catholic Church but across the world. Elected in 1978, he was the first non-Italian pope in nearly 500 years and the first from a Slavic country, Poland. During his pontificate, he traveled more than all previous popes combined, encouraging and promoting understanding between nations. He beatified more than 1,400 blesseds and canonized 483 saints. In 1992, he published the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the first universal catechism since the 16th century. He died in 2005 and was canonized by Pope Francis in 2014. St. John Paul II, pray for us. We thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Veronica Dudo. Good night and God bless.